Yeah. You might want to send this one out because this is going to be a good video, good live breakdown as to why Call of Duty is like it is. And you're going to see in this video, a lot of contradiction about the studio and how it just like how Mark Lamia, the studio head, just completely folded on Call of Duty. And like, I'm gonna break it all down for you. This video that Mark Lamia did at DICE 2015, the summit at DICE 2015, basically it was like the perfect storm. You know, and I'm not gonna entirely blame it on, and no, by no means am I blaming it on zombies. This video has nothing to do with the zombies. Zombies was gonna be successful. I don't know. I can't really say that zombies would have been successful without throwing the Call of Duty name on it, because there were tons of zombie games out there, and I think the fact that there's a lot to be talked about before we go into that. But you know, you cannot deny. I mean, you can't deny the popularity of it, but that's really not the point. And that's the point I'm not discussing. I'm not disputing. And before I get on, let me just type this in. But I want to make some disclaimers before I start this video. So, alright, I tweeted it out, and before I get started, I've watched this video a couple times. I probably should have watched it maybe 5 more times before I make these comments, before I go on and talk about it. I don't know if you guys can you guys see me? I guess you can see me, whatever. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear and see me before I get on with this video? Because, I want to make sure that everybody can hear me, because I'm going to post this on YouTube. And I think that I've been around. It's important for people to know. I mean, there's a lot of people who think that Treyarch is Call of Duty, and it's not. And I just want people to understand, like, the truth of what's really going on here. You know, to understand that, like, to understand everything. And and the more that these developers talk, the more information you get, and you start to understand, the truth starts to come out, it starts to make sense. It starts to make a lot of sense. Yo, what up? Okay. Okay, cool. All right. So, before I start this video, this is the beginning. Welcome, YouTube. I'm glad you're here for our discussion. We are live on, I guess I should take this off the screen. Let me start this over. There we go. Welcome, YouTube. Subscribe now. Anyways, it's Fist, bringing the news like I do. If you don't know what this video is, I'm about to do this live commentary over Mark Lamia. If you don't know who Mark Lamia is, he is the studio head of Treyarch. And I really wasn't going to say anything. You know, I thought this DICE thing that he talked on was just maybe it was this zombie revealing, but it was a huge insight into, it's like another piece of that puzzle into understanding why Call of Duty is like it is today. If you're a fan out there and you're just a sheep and you just like whatever social media tells you that Call of Duty is supposed to be, and you're one of those people who think that Treyarch is the best thing that's ever came along since sliced bread, and you just assume that because everybody else is, over there or whatever it is. And I have to make this clear because a lot of people, they just, everybody jumped on and off the Call of Duty train at some point when they were playing this game. I've been here before. I've been here when it was Medal of Honor, and it was Wes and Zempella, and they were working for EA before they went back to EA. This was a time when Battlefield 2 Modern Combat was the best game on the console, better than Halo 2. It's just EA just didn't know what they had. They didn't know they had lightning in a bottle. They just let it go. And Call of Duty was lightning in a bottle. And they just let it go. And you're probably wondering, why is Call of Duty... And here's the thing you cannot deny. Why is Call of Duty continuously going down in sales, but everybody is saying that Treyarch and esports and this and that is the best thing since sliced bread, the fucking best thing since peanut butter and jelly, but for some reason the units keep going down and down and down. Like, how could you not see that the units and sales is going down, but then you're sitting there praising like Treyarch and esports, and you're making it seem like esports gets 100,000 views, and that it's saving Call of Duty. It's saving Call of Duty. Slave the clock tower. It's not saving Call of Duty. And if you weren't there from the beginning, you wouldn't know this. And when you listen to the studio head, Mark Lamia, you'll understand, if you've been around since the beginning, and you'll listen to some of the things he says, you will know that essentially Zombies was a butterfly effect that ruined Call of Duty in some it's not that it didn't, it ruined it, and I'll get to it. It ruined it, and it's part of the problem, and that West and Zempella were fired at the same time. I mean, there was like a perfect storm. It was just a lot of bad luck. But I want to talk about Treyarch's involvement in why Call of Duty is so bad. And people beg to differ. I mean, everything is debatable. A lot of people don't realize when you look at... I mean, here's an argument I get a lot from people from Black Ops 2. They always say that, oh, look at Black Ops 2. There's 100,000 people playing Black Ops 2. I get it every single day. Every single day. Treyarch's Black Ops 2 is the best Call of Duty ever made. Look at all those people on Black Ops 2, Fist. And I go, okay, I go look at the Black Ops 2, and they'll say, I'm just using a number for example. I'm sure it's higher or lower. I looked at it, and you could do this yourself. If you take the total number of players, and then you look at the total number of players in core versus the rest of the game, which is zombies. That's what Treyarch's game is. 70% of the people who are concurrent online users of last-gen consoles are playing zombies. They're not playing the core game. But if you take a look at any other Call of Duty game, which is what Call of Duty is the name Call of Duty, 76% of every Call of Duty of the total population is in core playing that game. They're not playing another game. They're not playing another game mode. Call of Duty wasn't meant to have 50 games within a game. And I'm saying there's nothing wrong with zombies. I'm saying that zombies and the way that Perfect Storm happened and Mark Lamia's decisions that he made at the end of the day sent the sales of Call of Duty south and gave a false negative, or not a false negative, a false positive as to how the Call of Duty should be made. And the funny part is, when you listen to this video, and I will pause it halfway through, you will notice a studio head, Mark Lamia, gets so excited about zombies. And then when he talks about Call of Duty, they just don't want to talk about it. It's not fun for them to make that game. Listen, it's just amazing. This video tells the whole story and how and the dude just it's amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll stop it as we go along. But the preface of this is at the end of the day, zombies if zombies were to be made, it should have been a standalone game. And if they wanted to use the Call of Duty name, they should have put Call of Duty Zombies on a standalone game beside Call of Duty. Now you get all these false negatives, or not false negatives, plus negatives. You get these false positives on concurrent users that are not even playing the core game. And so they just assume that because there's so many people playing online that they're playing core, and they're not. And so therefore, that because of Treyarch Zombies, that which shouldn't have been made in the first place, is now skewing what that game should be. And the butterfly effect is that Zombies basically ruined all the other studios that are trying to make Call of Duty, because the focus isn't Call of Duty anymore, it's zombies. And so now, instead of worrying about making a Call of Duty game, they're worried about making a meta game to compete with the Treyarch zombie game. And therefore, Call of Duty in its whole entirety suffers. It's not really Call of Duty, it's just a name now. And you're going to see this. We're going to talk about it. But it's incredible how much that Mark Lamia and the executives at Activision, they should have canceled zombies. They should have made it like I said, I don't have nothing against it. They should have made zombies a standalone game instead of incorporating it into the Call of Duty franchise. And because they did that, now we see the end result. The end result is Sledgehammer is nothing but a Black Ops 2 game with jetpacks, and then they hurried up after the fact. You cannot release a Call of Duty game and then decide you want to add zombies. It just doesn't work that way. It makes you totally look incompetent, and nobody wants to play your game. It makes you look like an idiot. And so, and you're just ruining the name. And that's why nobody plays this game. And that's why they don't have a concurrent, real-time playlist on Advanced Warfare. And we're going to see this. But anyways, this is a trickle-down butterfly effect of this. We're going to listen to this right now.
Schedules, whatever, kind of hadn't worked out. We posed the Without Borders.
And I'm going to pause this. I'm going to pause this and discuss certain things as we go along. And then after I get done, I can't really see the questions, but I'll answer the questions afterwards.
Really, a co-op,
we'll talk about it
within that game that becomes so community-driven.
This guy's just kissing ass, blah, blah, blah. He's just totally clueless.
And where our players are going to drive game development future, and how that experience affects.
All right, listen to this. Here we go. All right. First of all, This is how you don't make a game. This is how you don't ruin a successful game. If you're a developer and you have a successful franchise, this is how not to ruin a successful game. He is going to tell you, and the bottom line is this, is that Mark Lamia had some people who did not want to work on Call of Duty. It's almost like when you go to class and you're sitting there and you're doodling and you don't want to hear the teacher, you just go off and do whatever else you want to do. And literally, Mark Lamia, because he was spineless and couldn't control a studio, these guys went behind his back and undermined his authority and made zombies. If they respected him and they cared what he had to say, they would have never made zombies, and they should have got rid of those people because it was a cancer within the studio, which drove everybody away from the main focus, which was Call of Duty, which was a fun game in the first place. Treyarch made Spider-Man. They never made Call of Duty. They wasn't known for anything, and so the only thing that they came up with was zombies. They don't even care to make Call of Duty. So anyways, I'm going to let you listen. You're going to hear it down here. We're going to pause those, and we're going to play it through. And there's some huge points in here.
It's great to be here with you. Looking for a presentation. Here we go. Okay, so it's great to be here with you to share our Without Borders story. It's a story of how zombies came into being. It's a story about how our studio has grown. It's a story about how we shed borders with our fans as developers. In 2008, some of you might know, we released a game called Call of Duty World at War. And it contained then a completely unknown unlock Easter egg, signature component of our brand of Call of Duty, but at the time, nobody knew about it, and it came at this really interesting time when you had all these other great zombies forms.
All right, so I'm gonna stop him right here. Here he's going into rationalizing the fact that Treyarch had no identity. Treyarch was having a terrible time. If you look back at the numbers up to this point, before World at War, Treyarch could not sell a fucking Call of Duty if their life depended on it. So, they didn't have no identity. The only game that they made was fucking Spider-Man, and nobody played that piece of shit game. So they were clueless. They had no direction. And he steps off right from the beginning, and he says, out there in space was zombies. So, how could we make somebody buy our game? Because nobody was buying their game. You go look back at the numbers. You don't believe me? Go look them up. And so they created 2 games in one, a zombies game. A meta game that was their game. So think about this. Treyarch is making, not Call of Duty, but their game, zombies, on Activision's dime. So you're slapping the Call of Duty name that Infinity Ward created, and you're making your game within that realm, and this is where the cancer starts. Because your studio does not want to do Call of Duty. Mark Lamia is spineless studio head to take control of the people that are working for him and say, this is your job. If you're not excited about Call of Duty and if you're not hype about it, then he should have fired those people and found people that were going to listen to him and the mission statement of what their job was supposed to do, and that was to make Call of Duty. And you're going to see how important this is further down this video. Because this is the butterfly effect. Because they did this is why Call of Duty is where it's at now. But anyways, that's one point, and we're just going to keep going.
entering, and zombies was kind of experiencing a kind of renaissance. So I think it also landed in an interesting time for Treyarch, because that was a time when we were kind of grown as a studio inside the franchise. And my hope is that as I share with you some of the stories about how it came into being, it can help you shed or help you find your own world without borders.
Don't do it. Don't ruin your game.
So I like to joke that zombies was just all heart. And it was probably also no brains. Because it's probably a setup for how not to manage a project. Certainly how not to manage a major
And here he's
franchise.
telling you, he's admitting that he's fucked up. He's telling you right now, as a studio head, I didn't have control of my studio. Right there. He's telling you, right there.
Really think about it. Call of Duty Zombies shouldn't exist.
He just said, Call of Duty Zombies shouldn't exist. Because you didn't have enough backbone to say, listen, let's make... What Treyarch should have done is they should have made Call of Duty Zombies and released it on the opposite years or in the spring and the summer when Call of Duty was dying down. That should have been the metagame. It should have been a standalone game from Call of Duty.
Get some context. 2008 was weighted with high expectations, right? Coming off the critically acclaimed Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare from Infinity Ward. And at the time, that game was by far and away the biggest game in our franchise that we had ever seen. So while the move to the modern era was absolutely heralded, it would be Treyarch's turn the following year, and we were set to make a game again inside of World War II. And that made some on the development team creatively very restless.
See, he's telling you, right there. You see what he said? Call of Duty 4 was the biggest game that they've ever seen. Modern combat. And they were scheduled to release a World War II game, and the team was restless, meaning that they didn't want to do... Nobody can... nobody can associate themselves. Who in that studio can associate themselves with World War II? Whose idea was it to make a World War II game? So you already have the studio shook. They don't want to make a World War II game. Remember I was telling you the kid that comes to the classroom and he's sitting there and he's doodling and shit? He don't want to do a World War II game. They wanted to make Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare the next Modern Warfare game. They were sent backwards. And so there was some discontent in the studio right off the rip. So he's going to tell you right now, this is what happened. Dudes didn't want to do it. This is what happened.
Up until this point, as some of you may remember, Treyarch was best known not for its work on Call of Duty, of course, but on our work in the
Spider-Man
franchise. But in fact, Call of Duty World at War would be Treyarch's third World War II
See
Call
right
of
there?
Duty game.
Third
With many of us.
World War II game. Now you got a studio, Infinity Ward, making Modern Combat, and then you got the studio, the third World War II game that they had to make. Dudes ain't happy. So he can't even control the people that work for him.
Having even worked on more than that, our identity and cultures were clashing and blending on incredibly short and demanding Call of Duty development cycles. World at War, however, would be our first shot at a 2-year development cycle in the franchise, and up until this point, I think it's safe to say that we were still struggling to find our voice and establish our identity inside the franchise. Despite the experience on the team, I think it's fair to say that we still lack.
See right there?
confidence.
Right there. How could you be a leader and say that? Your studio didn't have an identity. He's telling you right there. The studio didn't have an identity. They lacked confidence. They didn't know what they didn't know if they were like, who are we? Who am I? And so you got instead of Mark Lamia being the leader that you're supposed to be. And look, he knows he's lying. Look right there in his face. Being the leader that you're supposed to be. You're supposed to hype your studio up and say, we're making the funnest game of all time. Call of Duty. We should be focusing just on that. Oh, here, listen what happens.
All right. So we wanted World at War to be a turning point for our studio. We wanted to establish our house style and our rightful place in the franchise with this game. To start with, we were determined to make a very different kind of Call of Duty and World War II game. We wanted to lean into the darkness and the brutality of war with rich story and characters that were angry and filled with vengeance, and what would become the grittiest game, what we felt would be the grittiest World War II game in the franchise. Now, if I were to frame up the overall development, World at War was really difficult by any standard. It had a lot of new technology that we were dealing with for the first time, a lot of new design challenges. Without going into all the gory details, in the second year of our development, the team was definitely stressed, behind schedule, and crunching hard. You know, this is a story.
Stressed, behind schedule.
So you can imagine my surprise when I learned that a small team under these
Look, they were about to abandon ship on his ass. A portion of the studio was like, look, man, I'm not making World at War, whatever, Call of Duty. Fuck that. I'm just going to go sit here and I'm not going to work on that game no more. And we're going to have our little crew guys go work on zombies. That's what type of leader he is.
Started taking the co-op work that we were making for the game and started prototyping new modes for the game. Now you can imagine my surprise again when I found out a little bit later that this team that had been noodling around started prototyping a Nazi zombies mode.
Now think about that. What is the biggest ha-ha moment if you were working on a boring ass World War II game right after Call of Duty's a modern combat game? What would be the funniest? What is the funniest ah-ha-ha moment there is? Hey, look, guys, I made Nazi zombies. It's so funny. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was so stupid because the studio, his crew didn't want to work on the game. It was a joke.
Level. And then finding out that, like, you know, people from other departments hearing about it started.
That's when the cancer started.
Totally agree.
Cancer.
So let's review. We got a tough development. The team is working with new technology. We're behind schedule. The team is crunched. Late stage innovation, unapproved, unplanned, unscheduled,
Look at that.
definitely ungreenlit.
It says team crunch, late stage innovation, and then you look on the right side. Unapproved, unplanned, unscheduled work. We don't care about our leader, Mark Lamia. Who gives a shit what he has to say? We're going to take the time that we're supposed to be working on Call of Duty, and we're going to work on this game. Business. Like they totally just, I mean, any other place in the world you would get fired out of a fucking cannon for not listening to the boss doing what you're supposed to do. If anything, it should tell you that, I mean, no wonder Vince West and Zempella wanted to fucking leave, because they totally knew down the road that zombies was a fucking cancer and it was going to ruin the Call of Duty franchise. That's, I mean, like they should have never ever put that in a Call of Duty game. And I'm going to tell you why. We're going to get down to the end why that is the case. I mean, you might be, I don't know what you're saying in the chat right now. I don't see it, but I'm sure you're sitting there, man. You know what you're talking about, Fist? Zombies is the best thing. Oh my God, you're crazy. You're ludicrous. No, I'm telling you. And if I was wrong, then why is every Call of Duty from the last Call of Duty a terrible, done less numbers in units sold? If one Call of Duty was selling better than the next Call of Duty in units sold, I would shut the fuck up. But that's not the case. And I mean, I had to do the math. Like, I'm looking at the numbers. I'm like, okay, it's not making sense. They keep saying Call of Duty's doing so great, and it's not. Advanced Warfare sells less than Ghost, and it's got zombies. So anyways, let's move right along here.
Business expectations were for the best-selling game of the season, in an established franchise, and zombies at this point, they're clearly off-brand. I remember the first time I heard about it, I was like, what? Now, as
and this is when he comes to the crossroad, and you know what? He made the right decision for his studio in the sense that I probably would have did the same thing. Because if I owned Treyarch and I came up with our own game, Zombies, and it was ours, and that gave my company, that gave my studio insurance from being cut from rotation or cut out of Activision. I mean, basically, Zombies was greenlighted by everybody at that studio because that ensured their jobs. It didn't ensure Call of Duty. I mean, the way it's looking and the way he's talking is that Call of Duty sales are so bad that I wouldn't be surprised that the next game, Activision wouldn't mind that if it was called Call of Duty Zombies, period. And that Call of Duty multiplayer would be the meta game. I wouldn't be surprised. And I'll get to that too down the road as well. But moving right along.
Responsible for delivering to our publishing and our business partners the classic management thing, the right thing to do, the reasonable thing could have been to just insist that the team stop getting distracted, focus on delivering what we.
You know what? And you know how your first intuitions. Every time, 90% of the time, your first intuition is always right. If you think somebody's stealing from you, they probably are. You think your girl's cheating on you, she probably is. You think somebody, whatever, you probably should have turned left when you should have turned right. You probably should have. Maybe 10% of the time, okay, let me take this test over to get a better grade. And you did whatever. I don't know. There's 10% examples. And he was right in the beginning. I'm not saying they didn't have to not make zombies. I'm saying that that Call of Duty was destroyed. A huge part of Call of Duty was destroyed because of zombies. And it should have been released on the opposite end of the release dates for Call of Duty. And like I said, we'll get down there. Let's keep going.
Pretty behind on delivering. And there were some inside the leadership in the studio that I felt that I needed to do and make that decision right then, or totally jeopardize the development.
And see, I have to agree with that. Somebody in the Treyarch studio said that they should have cut zombies out in the beginning, and it's going to jeopardize. Look at his face. He knows at the end of the day, zombies. And you look at people's face, you could see right through them. He knows that look at that. He's thinking about it as he's saying it. I know I fucked up. We released zombies. At the end of the day, Call of Duty's gonna die because of it. And I had to do it because my studio and we had to eat. Look, I gained weight. I'm eating good. I'm eating good. I don't blame them. I do the same. But I'm just showing you guys. I've been around since day one on Call of Duty. I'm showing you guys, giving you history. You go back into all my videos, and you'll see an evolution as to why this game is declining. And I don't want to, these people tell me, oh man, you don't know nothing. You jumped on halfway when the fucking train was already almost to the end of the line. If you weren't there from the beginning, you don't know. So let's move along.
I almost did. In what certainly would have probably been one of the biggest mistakes of my career. Fortunately, I calmed down just enough. Still working on that every day of my life. To play it.
Now listen to this.
I make a decision.
This is amazing. Now listen to this. This is why. This is the most amazing part. Is that this is what they got away from Call of Duty. And this is why zombies is killing Call of Duty, or it was a domino effect, a butterfly effect to killing Call of Duty. You're going to listen to Mark Lamia talk about how much fun zombies is. And then you'll hear him talk about Call of Duty and you'll have a blank face. And the contradiction is that he wouldn't let the CEOs play zombies, and the CEOs were emailing him back saying, oh, I'm going to reach the level 20. And everybody was in the studio, was having so much fun playing zombies. But then we had to make that game Call of Duty. You see the point there? You see why it's a good game, but it's at the wrong place and time. You're having half of your studio and the Activision executives all hyped up because it is what Minecraft is. Everybody can play it. There's no stress. It's a fun game. That's what Call of Duty 4 was. A fun game. Everybody could play it. There wasn't all these parameters and fucking levels of bullshit that you had to go through 10 levels of Kung Fu masterness to get the prestige and weapons and all that. You don't have to do that to zombies. You could just play and have fun. And you're going to hear this. Like, this is how twisted and flipped. Either he's a fucking liar or he doesn't even know that's what's going on in your own studio. Now watch this. This is hilarious. Now remember what I just said 5 seconds ago. Watch.
Decision purely based on emotion, as insane as it sounds. So I asked to play an early version of it, which I had to do. I had to do this at a programmer's desk because, of course, it wasn't in my build. So I go to the programmer's desk and I sit down and I play it. And it didn't take me long to see why everyone was so excited about it. It was really easy to get into.
Really easy to get into. You made zombies a fun, easy game. Call of Duty was a fun, easy game. So what do? You take Call of Duty's name, you slap it on zombies, on Activision's dime, and you don't make the next Call of Duty fun. You see what's happening here? Because of his leadership. And because people did not want to make a World War II game, and it was their third game, and they were bored, and he did not control his studio, they took all the fun that they were supposed to put in the Call of Duty game and put it in a zombie game that they weren't even green-lighted to make. But, on the other hand, Mark Lamia is a smart dude. It's his studio. It's not their game. Call of Duty's not their game. how can I secure myself? Treyarch is the zombies game. It is a fucking parasite on Call of Duty. And it's Activision. At the end of the day, that is probably why Wes and Zempella got fired, is because they were pissed off that they put zombies in there and they weren't supposed to. And Lamia and that studio backdoored Infinity Ward with that bullshit fucking metagame, and Activision bought it, and they got away with it. And at the end of the day, because of the amount of players who buy Call of Duty because of zombies, because it's easy, because it's not a first-person shooter, that dictates what Call of Duty is in the future. And that is the butterfly effect that now every studio that's making Call of Duty is trying to make a metagame and not Call of Duty. Do you see it now? Do you understand?
The core gameplay and shooter mechanics.
There it is. Spills
skill-based design,
all the beans.
It begged you to play it again, yet again, because after you were done playing, you were sure if you played it again, you can get to the next level, which of course I was sure that I could doing it. And it was the most fun I had playing co-op in the game that we were already making.
Most fun, easy playing. That guy, and he fucking. Now, if that guy can be good at zombies, that means anybody can be good at zombies. And if anybody can be good at zombies, that means you're going to sell units. Isn't that what you're supposed to do in the Call of Duty franchise? Wasn't that your job? But you just totally ignored it and went and made fucking zombies, and you weren't even green-lighted to do that. You totally fucking bamboozled the executives at Activision and got away with fucking up Call of Duty for everybody. And that's probably why Wes and Zempella fucking left. See, that's why Wes and Zempella probably went to EA or is looking to find to get out fucking, because you fucked their game up.
And the zombies, well, they're fucking cool. I mean, they looked cool. They sounded cool.
Look how excited he is about zombies. Aren't you supposed to be making Call of Duty? Where is that excitement for that game? How come you didn't make that game the most fun I had playing a game, or easy game? How come you didn't take the energy that you're supposed to do and put it into a Call of Duty game? You could have had either one of those studios could have made zombies, Call of Duty Zombies, but you know you couldn't make it a standalone because they would have never let you do it, and you did it behind their backs. You took half your studio, and you just fucked the game is what you did.
And we thought, well, why wouldn't Call of Duty players love to play this? This is so
They're going to
fun.
play it because you put Call of Duty name on it. Of course they are, yeah!
So when people are on your team playing something, middle of the night after a 12 to 14 hour day, during a crunch phase, yeah, against every project management fiber I had in my body, I let it go.
Job security. And they didn't let nothing go. That was job security.
It was clear the excitement around this.
Let me tell you that again. Look, you were not known for nothing but Spider-Man. You were a hired studio to make Call of Duty on a 2-year cycle. If you fucked up and your sales weren't doing the last, and that's why you were slated to make another World War II game, because they weren't going to let you fuck up a Modern Warfare game because your sales were terrible in a World War II game. In hindsight, now we see it. Now we see the truth. They weren't going to let you make a Modern Warfare game. So this was probably your last shot, so you had to come up with a meta game. You had to make 2 games in one. You had to come up with something. It was probably planned.
And I was infected too at that point. And this is where we made the very risky, but ultimately the right choice to follow the fun.
See, this is contradiction.
bet on a dedicated...
Listen, this is a contradiction. We didn't have no identity. We didn't know what we was doing. We only made Spider-Man. You know what I'm talking about. Oh, wait a second. This game was fun. We made this is our game, Treyarch. We made zombies. And thanks, Activision. Fuck Call of Duty. Thanks.
So here's another way to
fucking this guy's full of shit, bro.
A dedicated and talented team that was searching for new creative, and despite already a heavy workload, was going above and beyond to create something.
Yeah, it was your last chance, or you're fired. Your studio was going to be fired.
It was a grassroots passion project, and it infected and it invigorated my studio, and it was going to introduce a great new addition that we thought Call of Duty gamers would love to play. And it was coming at a time when we were still establishing our identity as a studio.
Need I say more?
Franchise. And Zombies
Need I say
showed
more?
us exactly who we were, what we were made.
They're not coming out of my words. Words ain't coming out of my mouth.
That's the feel-good story, but now what the hell was I going to tell the stakeholders at Activision? In fact, the answer was right in front of us. There was no explaining them or taking them through it. It'd be like trying to concept test words for a game.
There was no way that we would be able to concept test or get anything. He's telling you, there was no way that Activision was ever going to hear them making a zombies game. The only way they could do it was to fuck Call of Duty. That was it. Period. He's telling you right here. And so what do? We made the game. We made it so much fun that Bobby Kotick and the rest of the CEOs couldn't fuck it up. It was so easy. It had Call of Minecraft on it. How could you fuck that up? You can't.
Used to solely validate whether or not you should be making that game, right? It wasn't going to suffice. It wouldn't do it justice. It would leave way too much to interpretation. They were going to have to experience it and become infected themselves. All right. Word about our new mode didn't take long. Started to spread. And we started having people from Activision's production management team come over. We started in the trenches with the guys we were working, arm in arm with every day. Then we'd work our way up the org chart. And as the infection spread, the organization, one person at a time, other people in the organization, even people not on the Call of Duty, working on Call of Duty, were asking to see it. And it wasn't because they were like, at Activision, we're going to shut this down. They were like, hey, we heard this got this really cool game mode. We want to check it out. They were legitimately curious. Soon, the VPs were in our office, hooting and hollering all to a person. All of them infected. And you know you've got something when you're in the middle of this.
They even got, this is the biggest contradiction of all time. The vice president is playing the game and having fun and sending him emails. Where the fuck are they? Are they ever playing Call of Duty? Is anybody saying that Call of Duty is fun, sending them emails? No, they're not. What happened? Watch, you'll hear it.
Making a game that has expectations like Call of Duty games do. And
expectations.
The kind of emails you get from executives have a different tenor than the ones that I was starting to receive with ray lines, like in the middle of the day, I got to level 20. And you're just laughing. You're like, they're playing the game. This is great.
Executives having fun getting to level 20 on zombies. I mean, all that energy and spirit and development and fun was supposed to go into Call of Duty. Instead, what do we get? We get the fucking piece of shit Call of Duty game, and all of their energy in the studio, what they're supposed to do, goes into a zombie game. See the point here? And you weren't even supposed to make it. You only made the game because your studio didn't have an identity. You made Spider-Man. That was it. That says it right there, man. I gotta prove myself. He's saying it.
All right. But not everyone was a fan. In fact, some people in the franchise leadership were totally opposed to zombies. And the idea
They're
of
right.
zombies mode. And they thought it would be a disgrace to the franchise.
I didn't say it's I wouldn't say it's a disgrace. What I'm saying is that they should have made it a standalone on the off season, meaning that the game should have been released like in March. Call of Zombies in March. You know what I mean? That's when it should have been done. And here's the problem. Because of zombies in the Treyarch games, now you have other studios who are forced into making a meta game, and they're not focusing on Call of Duty, which is the name Call of Duty, and making it fun. They're so worried about making a meta game that Call of Duty is getting fucked up. And that's why it's a butterfly effect.
I mean, the fear of doing something so off such a successful brand is pretty much inconceivable.
It was irresponsible.
But how could we walk away from something that was so much fun? We knew it was fun. We thought so many.
How could you walk away from something that was so much fun? Well, you were tasked to make Call of Duty fun. Why did you stop making zombies and focus on the game that you were supposed to be making? That's what's incomprehensible of what you did. And now, the end result from 2008 to now 2015, 7 years later, you fucking could look at Call of Duty and draw a straight line fucking right down to below fucking X amount of sales and units. This the direct effect of you guys for not delivering a Call of Duty game that was fun, easy, and everybody could play. You guys ran away from the task and developed a zombies game and ruined it for everybody down the road. I mean, come on, man. Let's be serious here. If there wasn't Call of Duty on attached or even fucking next to zombies, how many other zombie games were out then? I mean, do you think you'd have been playing this game if Call of Duty wasn't on there? They used Call of Duty's name at the height of its popularity. Call of Duty 4. They hijacked Call of Duty's name and they fucking slipped zombies on that bitch. That would be like taking Halo 2 at the highest peak, and there's another studio making another game, and it said Halo 3 Zombies or whatever. That's fucking cheating. You fucking scammed the fucking community.
Enjoy it. We had to figure it out. Now, the marketing and PR guys, they thought it was totally fun too, but they wouldn't touch it. I mean, to be fair, how the hell were they going to market this?
You know, the marketing guys, they love that game too. What do you? Everybody was with us. What can I say? It was just such an easy game like Call of Duty 4, and we just slapped the Call of Duty name onto the zombies. And then what we did was, because we needed to make Treyarch, we needed to secure our identity and our lifestyle. We just made Call of Duty really shitty and hard. So we knew that we were going to have a winner. Everybody was going to play Call of Duty Zombies because it's easy, and then we made fucking Call of Duty hard. We totally fucked Weston Zempella and took the Series O. We just fucking stole the name Call of Duty, slapped it on our signature game, and said, fuck you. That's what we did. That's what I did. They fucking hijacked the name. No wonder Weston Zempella was to get the fuck out of there. They're like, that's our name. You fucked our game up. We're going to EA. This dude's a thief.
Along with the mainline Call of Duty game, and just not totally confuse everyone. If you can remember back then, and you have to remember back then, there was, any attempt at trying to market a Call of Duty Zombies game would have been nearly impossible. I mean, honestly, we'd probably have been laughing stock. People would have totally thought that we jumped the shark. But nobody on the
Oh,
publishing
listen to
side of
that.
their credit.
You see what he just
wanted to
gave
get in the way
you?
of this.
Did he just give you the biggest hint of what the next? I mean, come on. Are we this fucking stupid? He just sit there and put Call of Duty Zombies in parentheses. You pretty much know what the next Treyarch game is going to be. I mean, is there any mystery as to now we know what the Call of Duty is going to be? It's probably going to be Call of Duty Zombies multiplayer. I would not be surprised. I mean, this dude's the biggest man. I would be so mad if I was Wes and Zempella. I hope they got paid out of fucking... I hope they got paid on their settlement. I hope they both got mega multi-million dollars for getting their fucking... Treyarch is so fucking filthy. They stole that name. Stole it!
So we made a deal. Let us launch it as an Easter egg. After beating the main game and the credits roll. That way it doesn't interfere.
I'll tell you what we're gonna do. Listen, Bobby Kotick's and the CEO. I tell you, just don't worry about Wes and Zempella. We'll launch it as a little Easter egg, and nobody will, look. They're gonna get mad. They're gonna get mad. It's okay. It's okay. It's gonna be okay. We're gonna launch it like a little Easter egg. Them motherfucker was plotting. Like your best friend and shit. Be like, yo, man, your girl she can stay over while you go to work. It's all good. Nothing's gonna happen here. As soon as your ass is out that door, your boy is fucking putting the moves on your girl and shit. This dude right here, man, come on. I mean, ow, wow.
With the core offering of an epic and cinematic scripted Call of Duty campaign rooted in historical authenticity. And this choice...
You know what it was? Now that I'm thinking about it, after these fucking guys got wise after the second game, after Call of Duty 3 or whatever fucking piece of shit game they made, they're like, you know what? Fuck this shit. We're not selling Call of Duty. How could we steal this Call of Duty name from them? This is the most ingenious... This is the best thing ever, is to figure out how to steal the main creator's game if the publisher brings on another studio. I'm getting it now. I get it. You make a metagame, you make it easier than the real game, and then you fuck the guys who came up with the game, and you steal it and put your name on your title. It's that fucking easy. Wow. I mean, I learned so much from this crook.
Really been the planting of the seed
Fucking
of
thief.
success. The reason for this is that I think by making it a truly out-of-the-way experience that not everyone would get, but only making it an experience that the most committed, the faithful, who played through our entire campaign experience first, they found it, they loved it. I mean, they'd already got what they bargained for. This wasn't marketed or PR. They played their Call of Duty campaign, and then they get this entirely new
Oh,
fun
I got you now. I get it now.
afterwards. And the
This is
reality
his pitch. This is his pitch to justify why this should be in the Call of Duty release to the CEO.
Now listen here, Bobby. It's gonna be awesome. They're gonna play the single player, and they're gonna love this game. And then when they get to the end and they beat it, they get another game, this Zombies game, and you don't even have to use your money from the public department or marketing or anything to say anything about it. It's free, and we're gonna do it for you. And all while he's doing this, they're like, yeah, we just made the last two fucking World War II Call of Duty games. Fuck that, we're taking the series, it's ours. They jacked this game.
Fans around the world loved it. They embraced it. I mean, they embraced it as their own unique experience, and they weren't all bothered that they got all this extra content after they finished their Call of Duty campaign. And they too got infected one by one. So much so that there was a cry to unlock it after the game, so that they didn't have to wait for their friends to finish the campaign, so they could actually turn up and play.
Treyarch is the worst thing that
we
ever
did
happened to
sometime
Call of
eventually
Duty.
after launch.
The
We
worst
knew when we
thing.
had to do that, that we had something special and we captured lightning in a bottle. And that was a good thing because the team was already buzzing on what they could create
The thieves,
after launch.
man. You guys stole Call of Duty.
Fortunately for everyone involved in Call of Duty, we survived. We were successful and we launched this game, and we were going to create new content for it during our downloadable content season. And this is where the team, and I mean the team more broadly, really started to dive into zombies and make it the game that we know today. You see, when we launched Zombies, we barely had time to complete the gameplay. Fiction was barely there on the disc the very first time. Those of you who played, 4 soldiers, trapped in a World War II bunker, as hordes of Nazi zombies are overrunning it, testing every shooter skill you have.
Didn't he just say they didn't finish the whole thing, and now he's got this whole backstory to it? I mean, come on, this dude's a fucking liar.
But that wasn't good enough for the
Fucking
fans.
liar.
I mean, they wanted more out of it, and they started crafting elaborate backstories,
here's
theories about what had
here's
happened,
the thing.
who they were.
Now listen to this. This is how I know this is all fucked up. Call of Duty Zombies is really easy. Look how fucking excited they are about it because it's their game. They stole the Call of Duty name and slapped it on Zombies. And they're like, we're going to take all this feedback from everybody and we're going to make a backstory on Zombies and we're going to do it everything. And he was all excited to get all this information. They're going to be theirs. And did they do any of that or say any of that for Call of Duty? Hell no. Listen to this shit.
We were there, and we were listening. And because we continued to develop this content on relatively short development cycles, we would respond. And herein lies one of the most important truths as to why Zombies became so successful. In 2008, we started a journey that continues today with our fans of creating our Zombies lore and fiction. We're constantly able to draw upon our fans' inspirations and their pure enthusiasm and marry that with our own. And we deliver them new
Do you hear this shit? Do you hear that shit? We take what our fans say, we draw on their experiences, everything that they like about Zombies, and we put it into the game. Did they do that for the fucking Call of Duty first-person shooter? Do they do that for the first-person shooter? And I want you to listen because he's going to say something after this, which is really fucking funny. Watch this.
On a consistent basis. The episodic content that we were able to deliver in 2009 with World at War was so successful that by the time 2010 came around, when we were making Black Ops, it was much easier for us to convince Activision that we should make this our formal third mode and our signature sort of 3 games in one offering on the Call of Duty disc. But even so, many in the franchise still weren't comfortable with marketing or PRing Zombies. In fact, if you can think back, Black Ops Zombies would launch without any branded PR or marketing, including not even releasing a trailer that we'd made and had ready to go until after the launch.
Still launched it.
But that didn't stop us or the fans. We treated him to a fun and surprising ending at the end of the game with Zombies. And after completing the campaign, we just kept engaging with
Listen
them,
to this.
listening, and surprising them throughout the entire
Engaging
process.
with the community, listening to them, making the game the way the community wanted Zombies. We bent over backwards and fucking touched our fucking heels in hoops of fire because this was our game. Our game, Zombies. We made it. We listened to the fans. We did everything they wanted us to do. Now watch. This is gonna get juicier as we go along.
Aside from firmly establishing Call of Duty as a co-op game, and this is our third major game mode, Zombies plays an important role in the development side for us, because it allowed us some creative freedom outside of the conventional wisdom of what you should make or what you should be prototyping for a Call of Duty game. Those characters, we gave them voices. We created them and gave them voices inside of Zombies first. Then We brought it into Black Ops, and we gave Mason a voice in first person to be able to tell.
See how zombies took over from Call of Duty? We put voices in zombies first. You see how it went from we were tasked to make Call of Duty, and now zombies is the priority at Treyarch. Do you understand that? It's not Call of Duty. It's not their game.
In our story. For Call of the Dead, we cast AAA recognizable Hollywood talent and didn't just use their voices. We took their likeness and their performance captured, put that all together. We did that in Zombies first, and of course the franchise has done that now very well. Alright, let's get back to business here. So while there wasn't an initial desire to market or PR zombies out of the gate, fan interest skyrocketed because of a confluence of situations. In a twist of irony, not marketing or PRing zombies and letting the fans find it themselves turned out to be a blessing in disguise. And ultimately, it helped set the tone for how this mode would evolve. Because from a setting, a narrative, and a character perspective, fans got to find and make it their own. It initiated a kind of conversation with our fans and amongst our fans that we couldn't have planned had we tried. At the time, the phenomena that we all now know as social media, had literally just begun to explode. And zombies provided Treyarch with that kind of social currency that would thrive in that environment. The Zombies development and episodic delivery of new experiences we created through DLC reflected that sort of participatory fan culture that I think TV shows at the time, like J.J. Abrams, lost, and people in our own industry with marketing campaigns like I Love Bees, they'd started to communicate with fans around the world and strike new means of communicating with them. But Zombies was somewhat unique in the world of these big budget games like Call of Duty, in that there was a meaningful interplay with our fans prior to launching content, in this case our episodic DLC content. It was no longer a binary process for us where we were going to make this game and ship it. The players, they were going to buy it and they're going to play it, and that was the end of the story.
See what I mean?
I think if PR...
See, their whole thing, see, that's what I'm talking about. See how shitty his attitude is about Call of Duty? Oh, they're just gonna fucking buy it and play it, that's it, whatever, that's Call of Duty, fuck it, not our game, don't give a shit. Not our, I don't care. I mean, if you got somebody like that working on the game, obviously it's gonna be a piece of shit. Their whole fucking studio is a sham. They fucking jacked that name so they could have sustenance and fucking sustainability and not be fired by Activision. That's the fucking bottom line. And like I said, there's one other part he says right here is very interesting, and you should look at this and say, you know what, that's fucked up. And we're gonna watch it right here. Watch. It's coming.
Marketing is about giving people the answers we want for them. Zombies in our development process just became about asking them all the right questions. So, Call of Duty World at War downloadable content that continued to come turned this unlock into episodic content sprinkled with all kinds of intricately developed Easter eggs. And I'm talking true labors of love by the people who make this, and true labors of love by the fans in the community who decipher all of it.
See how interactive it was with zombies? That they were the studio was feeding off the fans, and the fans would give back to the studio, and they started doing Easter eggs and clues and all that shit. They were really feeding off each other. Where was that fucking energy for Call of Duty? Wasn't that energy was supposed to be for Call of Duty? Instead, you fucking went off on zombies, and you fucking don't even. You're just going through the motions when you make Call of Duty. This Treyarch should have been fired off of Call of Duty a long time ago. A long time ago. They should have just let fucking Activision and should have just told Treyarch, all you're making is zombies. They shouldn't be allowed to make Call of Duty anymore.
exclusive music tracks for them as rewards. We'd ask them more questions. We just carry on a conversation with this very passionate and engaged community. And they would go off and they would craft extensive blog posts, put up amazing websites, forum threads, epic forum threads.
What about us?
What was going on? Or what they thought we were telling
What about us?
And of course, as technology evolved, we saw them sprout up and start to create videos and start commentating about it all. And they create live streams and they try to figure out our puzzles or show off their gameplay prowess. And what they found in our game gave rise to an entire subculture about our zombies lore, giving the mode, I think, the mystique that it carries today. One great example, though, of how zombies did infect our mainstream marketing and PR was how we chose to introduce the world of Black Ops to our fans and converse with them. Now, for those of you who haven't played the game, it's a game that's based in the primarily rooted in the Cold War, right? Notoriously ripe with intrigue, deception, spies, espionage, all kinds of great
stuff.
Drawing upon the inspiration of the CIA signal stations, we created this alternate reality game-inspired website prior to the game's reveal. We made it. We put all kinds of time into putting all kinds of Easter eggs and clues in it, and we just put it up there, unbranded. And the fans we started playing with our fans. They started trying to tear it apart. And it started a conversation with our fans before our game even launched. Or even
PR move.
Excuse me. Zombies taught us that not all of our fans need to have all the answers, and that some of them wanted to figure it out for themselves, and they had fun trying to figure it out themselves, and we had fun playing with them. And even today as a studio, we've grown our own social media channels, not only, of course, to share information about the game and our studio, which is, of course, important, but also to share ideas. And we believe that if you pay close attention, you'll have the opportunity to play along with us and to speculate with everyone else about what we might be telling you.
You noticed that just now.
All right. So what are some of the possible takeaways you might have from this story? I think one of them definitely is, when the juice is worth the squeeze, follow the fun, even when it might seem to go against what you think you should be doing. Now, you have to be very careful, because you can totally fuck up your development if you're not careful here, folks. But if you have something very special, even if it's really risky, and you've got confidence in the team that's making it, go for it. Without it, zombies wouldn't even exist. Build social currency into your creative. Give the fans the opportunity to own something more than a game. I mean, look, to be fair, some of this was totally unplanned, right? PR and marketing's decision not to market or PR zombies gave us awesome social currency at an important time when social media was growing. But I think the takeaway here is simply being comfortable that as game makers and marketers, it's often more valuable to provide fans with questions than answers. Another important takeaway is to listen to your fans and try to develop a dialogue with them. And look, I know how tough this is, especially in the middle of a very difficult development. And I'm not suggesting you put yourself in a position where your fans are driving your development or randomizing your development.
Do you hear what he said right there? That is the most important thing he's ever said. In Black Ops, he said, in Zombies, he said, we listened and conversed with our fans. They got all excited and everything like that. And then he just said, just now, he says, I want you to hear this. I want to go back a little bit. I want you guys to listen to this.
And look, I know how tough this is, especially in the middle of a very difficult development. And I'm not suggesting you put yourself in a position where your fans are driving your development or randomizing your development. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that it goes a long way if you can give your fans the opportunity to play along. And this is where social media can really go to work for you to break down these borders. It goes a long way development. And I'm not suggesting you put yourself in a position where your fans are driving your development or randomizing your development. I'm not saying that at all.
I'm not saying I want your fans to develop your game. What the fuck is esports doing to Call of Duty then? How is the fans who are the fucking, I don't want to call them fans. How are pro players developing Black Ops or the Treyarch or any fucking Call of Duty? How are you just said don't listen to the certain fans to derive development of your game? Your whole fucking game, your whole fucking first-person military shooter game is driven around one aspect: esports. You just said don't let fan or whatever the fuck you want to call them drive your game. You literally have fucking esports Call of Duty pros in your fucking studios developing your games. That's not for your fans. That's not fans with an S. That's having one particular group drive the development of the first-person military shooter. And it just goes to show you this whole fucking video that they made zombies and they were having fun and they got all the feedback from all the fans and they did it that way with them. But then they turn around and contradict their fucking self and lie to you in the next fucking sentence and saying, don't let fans drive the game. And you take esports and this Call of Duty fucking pro players and they develop this game and you fucking follow them right into the pit of fucking hell. You're full of shit. You made zombies. You stole the Call of Duty name from Weston Zempella. You don't give one fucking two shits about the first-person military shooter. And if that wasn't the case, then every fucking subsequent year would not be declining in sales. This fucking whole video that you just did laid out the complete assembly line that you're a complete fucking liar, and that's why Call of Duty's failing. There it is. Black and white, not coming out of my mouth, coming out of his mouth. You match it up with the numbers and sales. You match it up with who's developing the game. You match it up who they're making the game for anyway. They're not making fucking Call of Duty. They're making zombies with the Call of Duty. It should be zombies Call of Duty. It shouldn't be Call of Duty Advanced Warfare or Call of Duty Black Ops 3 or anything. Treyarch is fucking a cancer on that game. Call of Duty 4, he just told you in the beginning of this video, was the biggest game ever released. And they just stole the name and made their own game because they wanted security. He told you they didn't have an identity. They just made 3 failing World War II games that nobody fucking bought. They had to do something. We know in this world, 1, 2, 3, and you're out. They were on their 3rd fucking try. They had to come up with a meta game. They had to come up and make Call of Duty hard and make zombies easy. It's a no-brainer. Call of Duty with zombies Easter egg. I would make that game so easy that you're not going to want to play Call of Duty. This is the biggest scam ever in the history of fucking first-person shooters.
Is that
I ain't got nothing else to
goes a
say.
long way.
He's
if you can
fucking
give your
told you the
fans
whole
opportunity
story.
to play along. And this is where social media can really go to work for you to break down these borders and help erase those borders between your.
We're going to use the social media. We're going to empower just a couple players, and we're going to use them as figureheads to drive those fucking revenue so you don't have to spend marketing dollars, make us look like we're doing something. Meanwhile, you're still fucking not selling a game. $1 million Call of Duty Championship does not generate one fucking sale of Call of Duty. I guarantee it. Look at any fucking year that Call of Duty Championships has ever went on and look at the number of sales within that weekend. You tell me. Tell me, am I fucking lying? Go give me the information. Prove me wrong. I dare you.
Fans. And for those of you working inside established franchises or properties, Zombies taught Treyarch that it's okay to touch the butterfly's wings. Just don't do it with sticky fingers. Look, even in an established blockbuster like...
You know what Zombies taught us at Treyarch? It's okay to use your fucking sticky fingers. If a publisher's gonna give you a fucking golden butterfly, stick your fingers all over that bitch. Make it yours. Steal the name. Create an Easter egg. Just a little one. It's just a little Easter egg. It's gonna be... Make it easier than the game that you're developing. And then everybody will play that game because they think they found something. Nah! And then when they play it and it's really easy, they're not gonna want to play the hard game. You see how easy it is? Now I just stole the name. So here's what we do. See, found the magic cup. We're gonna take the Call of Duty name, move it over here, and then take the Zombies name and move it over here. It's that easy. Dude.
It's really easy to get caught up in the idea that it can only deliver a certain kind of experience and that there isn't room for deviation or significant...
Wanna know why Call of Duty's fucked up?
Clearly
That's
there
why
is,
it's fucked up.
it's in the right hands. And Zombies prove to us that there are meaningful and significant opportunities for creative exploration, innovation, even in one of the most established franchises in all of entertainment.
It's okay.
Zombies will-
Listen, what it shows us is that, you know what? You're going to get fired anyway because you're not going to make the game like the first studio. So you might as well go ahead and fucking develop a game underneath their title. And if it's a hit, it's a hit. If it's not, you're going to get fired anyway, so why not do it? Of course.
Transformative experience for Treyarch, albeit one with a highly unorthodox development process. And it taught us who we were, it gave us the confidence that we needed to move forward at the time of the Black Ops series, right? It's a series that's built upon our own special brand of mindfuckery, right? Complete with flashbacks and imaginary scenes.
He even told you.
I mean, only a team that had
fuckery.
braved the
Told
unknown
you.
with Zombies could have pulled that off and still made what I just told you about feel Call of Duty. And this story would, I don't think it would be complete if it weren't for the fact that Zombies launched us into a world without borders with our fans. Absolutely. I mean, the conversation that we've learned to have with them continues to impact us to this day. Without them, Zombies wouldn't exist as we know it, and we wouldn't have had the opportunity to make the games for them and craft the experiences that we do. And for that,
Well, if you made a fucking...
But to our fans around the world, we look forward to carrying on that conversation with you in the future. That is if we can start.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Come on. You know you're making Call of Duty. Let's be honest here.
Thanks, Mark.
I do want to look at one thing, though.
Grateful.
I do want to see. I think I've seen it. I think I've seen a hint, though. Not that I care. But let me just see. I want to see. I think I've seen something here.
Process and established franchise. It's in the right hands. And Zombies prove to us we started playing with our fans. They started trying to tear it apart. And it started a conversation with our fans before our game even launched. Or even was announced, excuse me. Zombies taught us that not all of our fans need to have all the answers, and that some of them are even... We started playing with our...
I noticed one thing when I was looking at it. I noticed the channels were different numbers when he was showing, when he said pay attention. There was a part in there. I don't know. I have to go back and look at it. It had the numbers on it. But anyways, that's the end of the video. I'll probably answer some questions. I know some people probably think I'm nuts and they still don't get it. That's fine. I mean, I can't like show you everything. I don't have